Welcome again. I'm going to talk to you in relation to the B453 topic, that's Year 2 GCSE work today, and I'm going to focus on understanding the difference between the principles of training and the different methods of training, and it's really essential for you to be able to incorporate that within your response to questions. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is in relation to training principles. You'll know it now as SPORV, S-P-O-R-V. So when you are preparing a performer and implementing a training program, it is really essential that you work to the principles of training. We're going to start with the S for SPORV. S relates to specificity, and that means that when we put into place a training regime for a performer or even for yourself, it's essential that it's specific to your needs. So as a real extreme example of this, somebody who is doing continuous training, marathon running, they would obviously be training their cardiovascular endurance and be working aerobically. So it wouldn't necessarily be essential for a sprinter to use this method of training. A sprinter would use short bursts of energy, interval training, in order to make the training specific to that performer. Similarly, if you wanted to develop your explosive leg strength as part of your training program, there is no point in spending too much time in the gym working on your upper body. Progression relates to gradually developing over time. So it's in order to make sure that you don't incur any injuries along the way through your training, and that your coach and your training sessions are gradually progressive so that you improve over time. So if you are an athlete hoping to knock 1 second off your 200-meter time, it's unlikely that you're going to be able to achieve that immediately. It will mean different targets set throughout short, medium and long-term objectives over time. Progression. Now overload, that is broken down into different areas. In relation to overload, overload means working the body beyond its normal capacity, and we refer to the FIT principle. So ways that we are able to develop our fitness or our skill over time is by using the FIT principle. That means increasing either the frequency that we train at. So if I'm working on trying to increase my weight by 5 kilograms, I may start by doing 2 one-hour sessions in the gym in order to increase my bulk over time. I find then after 2 or 3 weeks that comes fairly straightforward. So I will increase the frequency by introducing a 3rd session, or by increasing the amount of hours that I attend the gym. So the frequency will increase. Similarly, talking about weight training as another example, I may increase the intensity. And that means rather than working at a 40 kilogram weight, if I'm doing the bicep curl, I may gradually increase the intensity, so it's going to 45 repetitions of 8 rather than 40 kg repetitions of 8 from week to week. We also look at increasing or decreasing the time. So for example, if I'm a marathon runner, I may well want to extend the amount of time that I train for, so I do 20 hours training a week instead of 18 by week 4 or 5 within the program. Or if I'm a sprinter, I may well want to reduce the time that I'm able to achieve in fulfilling a sprint. The final one relates to type of training. So type of training, that is in relation to varying the type of training. So if I wanted to increase the explosivity of my upper body because I'm an MMR cage fighter, I may well use a big massive tractor tyre as part of my training regime, and I'm continually twisting and turning it because that will increase my core strength over time. So the type of training will change. So that's overload broken down into frequency, intensity, time, and time. We then look at reversibility. That's our fourth principle of training. Reversibility can be a tactical method that performers use. So for example, a bodybuilder may well lift very, very heavy weights building up to a pose down, the Mr. Universe competition for example, but because they're lifting very heavy weights and fewer repetitions, that may increase bulk. But what they need to do is also closer to the event, about 6 to 8 weeks closer to the Mr. Universe competition, they may well want to tone down. So they will reduce the weight that they are lifting and increase the repetitions that they use with a lighter weight. So indeed, reversing the effect so that they tone the body. Reversibility also occurs if a performer encounters an injury and their leg is in plaster. So whilst one leg is developing, my left leg, which is the uninjured leg, that increases in hypertrophy because it's supporting all my weight, whereas my right leg, which is in plaster, that may reduce its musculature and that will atrophy, it will become weaker and therefore thinner. We now move on to the final one, V. V, for the principles of training, relate to variance. Variance means ensuring that the performer enjoys training from week to week. So by doing repetitive swimming week to week, the performer may become bored and demotivated, but by varying it slightly and incorporating other different methods of training, that may well ensure that there are high levels of enjoyment as far as the performer is concerned. So in relation to SPORV, these are the principles, these are the things that we would use when we are trying to ensure that the performer follows in an effective training program.